This one feels like the right one. Ooh, he's coming up. He's coming up. He might jump. There he is. That is a good one. Wow, it's a strong fish. That's a good one. That's a good one right there. All right, so here's the deal. I'm fishing a brand new river. Never been here before in my life, but I'm chasing one of my favorite fish of the Midwest, a lake sturgeon. Now, I've just done a very treacherous hike in flip-flops to get to this spot, but it looks pretty good. I've seen several sturgeon jump already, but what makes me nervous is I'm fishing from 8 to 9 foot cliffs, and I have a chance of catching 100-pound sturgeon in this area. So landing one of those guys is gonna be quite the mission and probably a little scary, but that's what we're here for. All right, real quick, this is the rig that we're using to chase after these big fish here today. What I have is a Daiwa Seagate 20H. It's loaded up with 65-pound braid. I really like these reels for all sorts of stuff. That's paired on a 7'6" Rip and Lips medium heavy rod. Off from that 65-pound braid, I have a shock leader, a 50-pound mono. I guess around 8 foot of that. The reason is, anytime you're fishing below a dam, there's a lot of snags and rocks and metal and who knows what. The braid cuts very easy on metal and rocks. That mono, a little bit more abrasive resistance, just gives you a little bit more cushion. The rig itself is just a standard Carolina rig, but what I do differently is I put my weight on another swivel so it slides on the line a lot smoother than the lead itself would. I have a little bead to protect my knot, another swivel, 50-pound mono leader to a 5/0 circle hook with a big glob of night crawlers on there. It's nothing fancy, it's just bottom fishing, but you do want to make sure you're rigged up right because these big fish are strong and they'll expose any kind of weak link. This is what I found that works for me and that gets the job done. Normally I like to have the reels on free spool when I'm sturgeon fishing, but as you can tell the current here is just too strong. It's going to keep on picking the clicker out. So what I do is very similar to shark fishing. I get my line tight and I'm going to back the drag off until it's just loose enough to where the current itself doesn't take the line out. That's about there. As you can see, my rod holders are in a pretty precarious spot. I don't want a ton of pressure on that first hookup. I don't want to lose a whole combo. That's about how I like it. That's a big fish on that one. Well, we're hooked up. All right. Here. Ooh! I wish I had my chest camera. I forgot to mount for the chest camera today. That was a sick jump. He's going nuts. All right. Of all the trips to forget my front camera, we're missing out on some pretty epic shots. This fish is so strong. He's about 5 foot, I'd guess. So a really respectable size. I'm gonna try and walk him down the bank. There's a little bit of, I guess, a lower cliff face right down there. That's kind of like the only option we have to land one. But look at this rod bend. Perfect starter fish. I forgot to reel in my second line. I really hope we don't double up. That would be crazy. All right, leader in. Here she is. All right, how are we gonna do this? All right. Man. Here she is. That's the proper one. All right, here we go. Sturgeon number 1 off the rocks. Not too bad. About a 5-footer. Not quite. 4-footer. I guess he's 35, 40 pounds, but he was fun. He was fighting really hard in that current. We'll get this one back and try for an even bigger guy. It's the land of giants right here. Check it out. It's a beast. Ooh, look at this. He had a lamprey on him at some point. Back into the abyss. On the board. I'm really nervous for a big one now. Of all the days to forget the chest camera, you know? That fish was jumping right in front of me and I had a bird's eye view. It was awesome. But that's just for me. You guys don't get to see that part, unfortunately. How am I missing this guy? All right, well, finally got the little rascal that's been taking our baits. One of my favorites, the little freshwater drum. I don't know if it's a catfish spawn or not, but I'm just gonna let this guy go. I don't need any fish bait here tonight. Just looking for a big old sturgeon on the worms. All right, so we sat here for about another hour and caught a few small drum. It's fun, but nothing to really brag about. I'm gonna slide down the bank here and get closer to the actual dam itself. Sometimes there's deeper water up there, so I wanna check it out. See if there's a big fish there waiting for me. All right, so I've come down the bank a little bit. I've kind of hit a dead end. Not really. I can get up around this little section right here. It's extremely wet and kind of scary. It's very steep and muddy. But once I get around here and around this little corner, there's nowhere to land a big fish, like at all. So I think I'm gonna set up around here. Even though it looks extremely snaggy, this just gives me a better chance if I do hook into a really big fish to pull it into the shallows and take care of it, get the hook out, do all those responsible things, you know? My worms are getting a little warm. They're getting kind of skinny and lethargic. They're not wiggling around. I don't know if the wiggle helps the sturgeon or not, but it just shows that your worms aren't as fresh as they could be. We're gonna give this one a cast. I'm kind of surprised we haven't caught one here yet, you know? Well, I guess you can't make them eat. Sometimes we can be right on top of them, but they're just not gonna eat. I'm probably gonna give this area about 30 more minutes, then start making my way back to the other cliffs. Getting to this area is kind of a little treacherous and slippery and all sorts of things, and I don't want to be doing that in flip-flops in the dark, so I'm going to start being smart and making my way back relatively soon. Well, I'm going to reel these up and go back to that section of water that I was fishing earlier today, because at least there was fish willing to eat over there. All right, shallow. But just because it's shallow doesn't mean a sturgeon can't be there. We're approaching the witching hour, and this is traditionally when the fish come out and really start eating. Unfortunately, I still feel like I got to get out of here. I mean, this trail back to the car is pretty scary and treacherous. I got wet flip-flops, and I don't really want to be doing that in the dark, of all things, you know? So I'm going to reel these up and try to spot a little bit shallower water, a little bit farther from the dam, to see if maybe there's a sturgeon there. I got to imagine they are. I'm sure they're all over, but I just would feel better being on the other side of that rocky point in the dark. So I'm going to pack this up and meet you guys on the other side of the rocks. And just like that, we're at the third spot of the day. We're going to end out the evening here looking for a big old fish. Looks pretty good. Looks like there's a nice deep hole behind like a little shallow spillway. So could potentially be a fish here. Gonna get some baits in and find out. Give this one a nice bomb cast. There's a current seam out there. Ooh, that is deep. I bet you that's 12 to 15 feet out there where I just had that one. They're both getting hit. This one just slacked the line out. Yeah, I think there's a small fish on here. There sure is. He's pulling a little bit. Ooh, is this a small little sturge or something? Nah. Better drum. All right, well, I don't know how many drum are gonna actually make this video, but there's been a lot today. This is actually one of the bigger ones. A lot of people don't like the drum. They're kind of a nuisance species, and I get it. When you're soaking night crawlers on the bottom looking for a sturgeon, these little guys can get annoying, but these are a really good indicator fish. And what I mean by that is if you're seeing a lot of drum, especially big ones, you know there's some walleye close by. These fish and walleye kind of feed on the same stuff, so gonna let this one go and hopefully find a sturgeon next. I see this rod on the right bouncing. It's on there. Nice. Unfortunately, I think this is another drum. All right, check it out. I knew there'd be some sturgeon in this little hole behind these riffles. This guy actually fooled me, you know? I thought it was gonna be another drum, but I am so happy to see that it's not a drum and my targeted species, a little lake sturgeon. It's nice to see that there's little ones in the river too. So cool. I love these guys. I would love to have like a giant Bass Pro Shop size aquarium and a bunch of these guys swimming around there. But for the time being, I'm just gonna let them go. I love summer. I mean, it's 9:10 and we still have so much light left in the day. It's amazing. Normally I fish well into the dark, but I'm gonna get things wrapped up here right now. I wanna get some camera batteries charged and go eat something before I come back out for a little midnight muskie hunt. But I really appreciate you guys watching. I had a lot of fun out here. I was exploring and picking apart a new river and even caught a really big sturgeon. Again, I appreciate you guys watching. Hope to see you guys next time when we're back on the water chasing after some more big fish. Until then.